So, Alexander Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC 294, Makhachev versus Volkanovski 2, and I cannot wait for this fight. It's going to be absolutely crazy, and I'm looking forward to it heaps. Look, in this fight, it's really tough to predict. So I need to make this video as like a detailed prediction, just almost to convince myself of the pick. I need to almost do this on the spot. I haven't even planned this. I'm just going to go on off the cuff. But I'm picking Alexander Volkanovski, and I'm going to go through a bunch of factors, talk about it, and maybe see if my prediction becomes more confident or less confident. I'm not sure. We're going to see where we end up going with this. But, yeah, so one more time, yeah. Volkanovski versus Makhachev, short notice, obviously, against Oliveira, instead of Oliveira. Going to be a crazy fight. Let's start off with the first fight. I want to talk about the first fight in a bit of detail. So they fought back in February at UFC 284 in Perth, which I attended in person. It was crazy to be there. I loved it. That was the first time I've ever been to a UFC event in person too, so that was a really memorable one. But if you remember that, Volkanovski, he made weight as the backup at UFC 280, Oliveira versus Makhachev. Made weight as the backup, and he was preparing for that 155-pound weight since the Holloway fight. Since he fought Max Holloway the third time, he was looking to 155. He said he wanted to fight there, and he was the backup for UFC 280, despite being somewhat compromised in a similar situation to how he is now. So he made weight, wasn't required, and then straight away, Khabib and Makhachev said they want to fight Volk in Australia, in Perth, and they fought February 10th this year. Volkanovski had a bunch of time to bulk up. He bulked up. He was a lot bigger. And when they fought, let's run through this fight. So, round one, Volk comes out. A lot of switching stances, a lot of tentativeness, like not unloading the hands as much as he does with a lot of guys. Not as aggressive like he is against like he is against Holloway, against Yair, any of that, against Zombie. He was a lot more tentative. He was a lot more patient. Really timing his shots, looking for the openings. The first shot of the fight, like the landed big, was a massive, I think it was a right hand that stumbled Makhachev. And that was because he was able to move in and cut off the right angle and kind of interrupt the rhythm of Makhachev. Makhachev then dropped him. Obviously, Volkanovski was kind of, in this fight, problem that he had was he kept having to run in. He kept running in because he wasn't able to just land the shots from the normal range. He kept having to rush in, kept having to sort of look to get closer than he was to land the shots, which at a lot of times, including in the first round, got him dropped. He was dropped in this fight. In the first round, he got dropped briefly down to a knee, and then Makhachev threw up a high kick up top, which was pretty close to landing. The first round, not all that uneven, but pretty late. Makhachev timed a good takedown, got underneath, took the back of Volkanovski. He dragged him down with the body lock, ended up taking his back, and was kind of just threatening a sort of crank of choke, I guess, for about a minute of that fight. Makhachev clearly wins round one, and Volkanovski's, it kind of seemed like his height helped him and his structure helped him in the takedown defense and the wrestling department, but it did cost him quite a bit in the striking, and that opened him up to be kicked a little bit. He got that. He was very low down. Like Makhachev just threw up a kind of laboured high kick, and it just ended up catching Volkanovski around the side of the head. So Volk's height and his sort of dimensions weren't good for him, and he was obviously severely outsized. We saw this in the first fight. It was a massive, almost jarring size difference. So, what the hell is this? Second round, pretty close. Volkanovski kind of landed a solid shot, which looked like it might have dropped him. We don't really know if it was a knockdown or not, but a lot of success. Islam landed some good shots. He had a flurry where he kind of knocked Volk back and stumbled him back, and then landed some shots against the cage. Pretty even second round, pretty even third rounds too. That was the second and third were the two sort of debatable rounds of the fight, in my opinion. Fourth round, Volkanovski was dumb. He talked to Islam's corner. He was being a bit too cocky, and he got taken down for it and got his back taken. But in the fifth round, obviously, in a round that Islam was probably winning on the feet, Volk dropped him late, landed a big kind of overhand right cross sort of punch, and dropped Islam Makhachev, landed on top and finished up with just ground and pound, beating the fuck out of Islam for the last round of the fight. He was clearly in the better shape. He was clearly able to push the pace for longer, and his conditioning was clearly better. That wrestling paid off. Even though Islam, and even in the fourth round, Islam was kind of holding on. He was not looking to push much of a pace or of an action. He kind of wanted to get to a position where he could just rest. Because on the feet, even though he actually was winning, which was quite surprising, a lot of people like Volk's going to absolutely school him on the feet and Islam's going to take him down easily. But the takedowns didn't come easily, but Islam actually probably won the striking exchanges, if we're going to be honest. So that was a key reason as to why I'm not overly confident in Volk's wrestling ability this time, though, with the short notice. But I think his striking is going to be a lot better. His striking is going to be a lot better. I think he's going to have a lot more success on the feet with Islam Makhachev. Trying to think of anything else in that first fight, really. Islam, with the tie clinch, he landed a lot of really good knees in close, which hurt Volk a couple times. He was landing some good knees to the body. Couple went up top to the head. But he did a lot of his work in the clinch. He got him there. He had the height. He had probably a little bit stronger. And he was able to kind of move Volk around and control him. His duck unders as well, key thing that he's going to be looking for in this fight. The duck under takedowns. He really needs to time those takedowns, because when Volk's able to stop him at the hips, or he needs to get to that body lock, because I think I can see him having success taking Volkanovski down with the body lock as he did last time. And I think that's going to be made easier by Volk being a little bit less bulky, a little bit less prepared for that wrestling defense. So look, I think Islam this time is going to have more success with the takedowns, more success with the grappling, but Volkanovski is going to have more success with the stand-up, is my prediction. Look, let's talk about short notice. The short notice factor here. Volk stepping in on 11 days' notice, not going to be overly prepared, not being in a super long camp, and he's talked about that as a positive. He thinks he's more energized, he thinks he's not worn out, he thinks he's recovered, obviously, after the surgery, and he thinks this is a great thing. He's confident, and he thinks this short notice thing only benefits him. Islam, obviously, was preparing to fight Oliveira, and a completely different style as well. Look, if you're looking at Oliveira compared to Volk, they're very different fighters. Volk, short, stocky, fundamentally better than Oliveira, better cardio, like really different style, way shorter, all of that. Oliveira, this long Muay Thai pressure fighter that also has a great offensive jiu-jitsu base. There's like the differences are night and day. So when you're talking about Islam's preparation, that's something you got to look at. Islam's been preparing for Oliveira, this completely polar opposite style than Volkanovski. He hasn't been preparing for Volkanovski, and he probably hasn't been fixing the same mistakes that he would have if he was obviously fighting Volkanovski. He probably looked at that Oliveira fight, he said, I did good, this is a rinse and repeat, we're doing the same thing again. But now he's got Volkanovski in front of him, obviously for the second time, so there is an element of preparation that exists. If these two had never fought, Volkanovski just comes up, I would be picking Volkanovski with confidence, because I'd be like, Islam's got no idea what he's doing against this style. Volk doesn't, but also vice versa, Volkanovski wouldn't have that same confidence in the takedown, wouldn't be as strong, so maybe I'll take that back. But obviously they fought each other, so there is going to be an element of preparation on both sides. But the way Volk's talking, it does seem like he was kind of preparing a little bit for this fight. Like, he was staying in that wrestling shape, in doing those hard rounds, probably working his grappling a lot, which is promising, and I'm happy about that for Volkanovski in this fight. Anything else about the preparation, though? Like, Islam preparing for this long style, like countering in the first fight against Oliveira, Islam countered him well easily. Oliveira was being too reckless, not coming in correctly, leaving himself open for shots. Volkanovski, I don't believe, is going to do that. So I think Volkanovski, as I said, he's going to have more of an advantage on the feet, especially given that I think he's going to know what to go for in this fight more so. I think he said he cannot afford to give Islam Makhachev the same respect that he did previously. He said that he knows what he needs to do. He's going to come out more aggressive, not respect Islam, and just go for it a little bit more. And he said he wants to go for the finish. I think leg kicks are a big thing that I think he's going to attack in this fight a lot. He was cooking the legs of Islam pretty well, and I think he's going to do even better landing those, like he does on everyone comfortably. With this, when he's quicker, when he hasn't got all that weight packed onto him, which is something I wanted to talk about too, is less weight on Volkanovski and what that's going to mean. What that's going to mean for this fight. Like, as I said before, I do think it's going to disadvantage him in the grappling. I think that more weight, that stronger base did really help him defend a lot of those takedowns. But I still think those grappling instincts are still going to be there. And I think he's going to be arguably quicker to it and know what to do more comfortably and have those natural instincts like built in from the first fight to help him obviously defend the takedowns and kind of scramble out of there a little bit easier. But the less weight, so I think that's going to make him quicker. I think that's going to make him better, quicker to the punch. I think it's going to make him more agile, smoother in the grappling, but definitely not as strong. And definitely he's going to be not as hard to take down like he was last time. I don't see him having that really strong center base. I don't see him shoving off Islam. To be honest, that's just not something I see happening. But I do really think this weight, this less weight, is going to definitely advantage Volkanovski when it comes to the striking and when it comes to just his overall speed and his movement is going to be a really big one. Fuck, my eyes are watering. Fucking hell. But movement, massive thing. This is what he's got to do. He's got to be much better and much more across cutting off the angles this time. Like, it's something that he's done against everyone. Against Yair, against Holloway. He did it well against Islam at times in the first fight, but ultimately his movement and his speed and his distance management was not as good as it has been in previous fights. Perhaps that is obviously credit to Islam being extremely well defensively minded. Islam, clearly one of the better defensive fighters in the sport right now. He's hard to hit clean. That's been historically proven. Oliveira even wasn't able to really catch him. Fucking hell, my eyes are watering here. Oliveira wasn't even able to catch him clean. Like, Volkanovski is the only guy that's been able to land big shots on Islam, apart from Adriano Martins, who landed a big counter shot a while ago and KO'd him. So, fuck, I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. So, what I'm saying, Volkanovski, he's going to be quicker. He's going to be better at the angle. He's going to be better with the distance management. And he's going to just be more aggressive in the stand-up, which I think is going to help him. But not aggressive in the way that Oliveira was aggressive, when you're getting dropped, when you're putting yourself in vulnerable situations. I don't think he's going to be that type of aggressive. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there in terms of the weight of Volkanovski, the size, and also I think even though he hasn't had the training camp, I still think he's going to be just as quick as if he had, because he's coming off a Yair fight, preparing for the fastest guy that he's ever fought. A guy with Yair where your instincts have to be on point, otherwise you're going to get KO'd by a head kick. And his instincts and his defensive instincts in that fight were great. He blocked a lot of the head kicks. He evaded a lot of the kicks too, and he stayed out of danger from Yair Rodriguez, who in my opinion is one of the best offensive strikers in the UFC right now. So that was such an impressive performance from Volkanovski. Obviously, look, in that fight as well, his takedowns and his wrestling offensively were incredible too, and his control time, he just looked like an absolute beast, even at 145. So I don't think it's not being... I don't think it's not having done that whole camp this time is going to greatly affect him. I think he's held on to that. I think the strength is still going to be there. I think all the stuff that he got from that first Islam camp, where he put on all that size, where he put on all that strength and that grappling muscle, I think that's still all going to be there. And because we saw that against Yair, he was down at 145, but he was still just an absolute offensive wrestling beast and just controlled Yair beyond belief. Yair had really almost nothing to do there. He landed, he was pretty much couldn't get up. When Volkanovski almost led him up just to take him down again. The dominance and wrestling control that he showed in the Yair fight were incredible to watch. So that was really good to see from Volkanovski, and I think I would honestly not mind him chucking in a few takedowns against Islam. Just speed, because as I said, he's going to be quick, he's going to be in and out. And if you can catch Islam throwing a loose cross, if you can't, if his defense is good but he's overextended, then you shoot under. You go for those takedowns, and I think he could honestly have a little bit of success against Islam offensively. I think he could make him pay if he catches like a kick, even in the clinch. Maybe go for a few trips if he can, just to put it in Islam's mind, just to let him know that this isn't the same as it was last time. This isn't just going to be an offensive, like, oh, you're not just going to wrestle me and I'm going to try and defend. Like, push your own takedowns almost. Push the pace against Islam, who probably isn't used to having takedowns shot on him that much in the octagon. And even though Volk didn't really take down Islam that much in the first fight, it still, like, tired Islam out. Like, that still, like, really pushed that pace on him. And like really put a thought in his mind of this guy can probably take me down. Do I think Volkanovski's going to ragdoll Makhachev in the grappling? Obviously not. But I do think it's something that Volkanovski can mix up, and I think he's going to be best suited to mixing things up and really putting a bunch together and just making Islam think and making Islam work. Because the more you make Islam work, the more likely he is to get tired quicker, and for Volkanovski to have a situation like when he dropped him and just ground and pounded him for the last fifth round. So, let's talk both of their kind of paths to victory. I would not be surprised with any outcome in this fight, to be honest. Maybe, like, I don't think either guy is going to get submitted, obviously. I don't see Islam subbing Volk, and I definitely don't see Volkanovski subbing Islam, which would be crazy. But I do think that Islam has a chance to TKO or KO Volk. I think we could be talking up all this thing. Volkanovski's going to be good, he's going to be quick. He's going to be improved, like he's going to know what to do. But ultimately, coming off a surgery, not being prepared for this fight, we could all just be talking in hypotheticals here in terms of Volkanovski's preparation, and he could just get shut down, and Islam could just KO him. I can see if Islam's going to KO him, I do think he's going to get it done in the clinch. I think he's going to get I don't see Islam just flat out catching Volk on the feet with like a shot. I think Volk is defensively very good, and I think his defense in the Yair fight is going to hold up here. So I don't see Islam KOing Volk. So like out in the open, what I see happening would be hurting him in close with a knee or an elbow to the head, getting that tie clinch, landing like a couple knees to the body, bring him down a little bit, land a knee to the head, or land an elbow on the break. That's something I could see from Islam having success in this fight. Ultimately, he could also just dominate him in the wrestling. That's Islam's path to victory, which I see. If Islam's going to win, I think it's going to be a dominant 4-1 or 5-0 wrestling shutout, and Volk's just not going to be prepared for the grappling. That's the way I would see Islam winning. Volkanovski's way of winning, it's going to be through the stand-up, in my opinion. It's going to be quicker. He's going to be staying out of danger. He's going to be not letting Islam get close for the takedowns. It's going to be moving off. Like, never be in the same spot for Islam to shoot. Never overextend yourself on a punch. Volkanovski has to be perfect in this fight if he wants to avoid Islam getting to his hips and engaging in that grappling type fight, which I'm not sure Volkanovski wants to engage in. Despite him saying, I'm prepared, I feel good still with the grappling, I just don't see that type of fight going well for Volkanovski. So he's got to stay out of danger. He's got to dance around him on the feet, land a lot of leg kicks is what I need Volkanovski to be throwing a bunch of leg kicks. I do think they're going to come out and do that. Aggressive with the boxing, but not overly aggressive. Wait on Islam a few times to counter. You don't have to be the guy to engage all the time. If Islam is you guys have the same reach. So if Islam's going to be throwing a shot, you're out of range. You get out of range and you come back in, you throw your own shot. You land your own punches, you land your own leg kicks. Finish the combinations on leg kicks is what I want to see from Volkanovski. So that's Volkanovski's path to victory. And then I think, look, he could catch him with a shot and put him away, or if he just does that for 5 rounds, he could just win a Sean Strickland type decision. Just awkwardly style. Don't let Islam land his shots on the feet, because Islam stole those rounds from a few times where he just kind of wobbled Volk and it didn't look good for the judges. Or I don't think Volk was even rocked, but just the fact we kind of waked him up and it looked like on Volk's face, I got hit by a big shot there. So Volk's got to stay out of danger, can't get hit too much, land low kicks, find the jab a lot more, come across with the 1-1-2 or even 1-2-2 like he did against Zombie when he knocked him down, and just put together the boxing combinations aggressively and more early. Don't let Islam get comfortable. Don't let Islam make his way into the fight and feel comfortable with the range and feel comfortable that he can catch you with his own shots. Deter him from shooting. Land shots. Throw knees when he comes in. If you can stuff the takedowns, just put a stamp on it. Like, hit him hard on the way out. Make Islam really feel like, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to shoot again. Or if Islam's just going to be shooting constantly, that's great for Volk. If you're stuffing takedowns and Islam's freaking out and shooting, that's amazing for Volk. That's what we want here. So, Volkanovski's path to victory, got to be the stand-up, got to be the evasiveness, got to be the movement and the distance control, and he's just got to be more technically better on the feet than Islam. Islam's path to victory, hammer the takedowns, or just be better than Volk on the feet again. Like, that's what he's. I think Islam fights the fight how he was going to. I believe. I think Volk's the one that really has to be perfect. Make the adjustments. I think Volk's got to be the perfectionist in this fight. I think Islam just has to run his normal game plan, shoot the takedowns. If you can get one, you win the round. I think Islam gets that back. And I don't think Volk's going to get up as easily as he was in the second and third round when they were fighting. When Volk stuffed him off and pulled his leg out of the single leg, I don't see that happening. I do believe that if Islam gets him down, he's going to get that back easier. And I don't think this short of a camp is going to allow Volk to be as across. If that had a rematch going on, a long notice, a good amount of time, I wouldn't. Then I would be like, Volkanovski, work all the body triangle escapes, work all the back take defense. I think I'd be more confident in his ability in the grappling to be more across it and to be not controlled and stuff in the grappling from the back position. So that is how both of these guys got to win. I'm confident that Volkanovski can get it done. That's going to be my prediction. I'm going to pick Volkanovski to just show up on short notice and kind of shock the world of sorts. I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to be way better than Islam on the feet, to be honest. I think he's going to be across the stand-up and he's going to know what he's doing. I think it's going to frustrate Islam. I think he's going to just pepper him with shots. Look, do I think it's going to be an absolute barn burner? Probably not. Do I think it's going to be as back and forth? Probably not. I think Volk is going to either come out, be quicker, be better, and just school Islam on the feet, or Islam's going to take him down, dominate him, and maybe TKO or submit him on the ground. That's the two ways I see this going. I don't see this being the same back and forth, close competitive fight that it was last time. Would be cool to see. I just don't see it going that way. So I'm going to be picking Alexander Volkanovski by a 4th round TKO. I'm going to say he wears Islam down. He lands the leg kicks really well. He finds the jab. He busts up Islam's nose a lot, bleeds him up, kind of swells up his eye. And I think he's going to land a big cross at some point, put Islam down, and ground and pound him to a finish, is my official prediction for this fight. Briefly, let's just talk about what it means for the winner and the loser of this fight, and what would kind of be next. So, Volkanovski's already expressed that if he wins this fight, he still wants to hold true to fighting Ilia Topuria. He says he's still going to take that fight. He's going to turn around quick. If he doesn't take too much damage, that's sick, and he can do that. If he somehow becomes if he becomes the lightweight champion, and he does intend on defending both belts, you're probably looking at Ilya in January, and then probably back up to lightweight for UFC 300 or something like that in April, or I'd expect him to fight around then. For Islam, if he wins, he continues his dominance. He probably ends up fighting either Gaethje or Oliveira, or maybe they book Oliveira versus Gamrot in January or something like that. A winner gets the fight. Or you do Oliveira versus Gaethje rematch, Gamrot versus Gaethje, any of those kind of fights, and the winner would get a title fight against Islam. He will just continue his dominance, probably look to go up to welterweight, and maybe achieve his own double champ status there. Because I don't see him just going, yep, Oliveira straight away. I don't think that's what the UFC is going to do. And likewise with Volk, I think if Volk wins, trilogy. Sorry, I said if Volk wins, I think if Volk wins, they're probably going to do a trilogy. Might do Ilya and then a trilogy, depending on how badly Volk beats Islam, if he does. But ultimately, this is a really good fight. It's going to be probably I think it's one of the more intriguing fights of the year. It's got the possibility to go each way. Volkanovski could just shock the world, show up. He's amazing. We know Volk's that guy. But Islam could also just be like, nah, I'm immune to this 2023 upset season bullshit. I'm not having it. All of that, and he just wins and shuts Volkanovski out. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is my detailed prediction and breakdown of Volkanovski versus Makhachev. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know who you guys are picking, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.